This episode is brought to you by the Thrive Tribe. Check it out at chasingbrighter.com/Thrive Tribe. Hi, welcome back to Chasing Brighter. Today's episode, we're celebrating the power of inspiration by shining light on women who uplift us with their courage, kindness, and resilience. These are women who have led by example, paving new paths, overcoming challenges, and reminding us what's possible. We want to explore today the stories that motivate us to dream bigger and live bolder. Every March at Chasing Brighter, we love to celebrate women's history and celebrate women. Women's History Month began as a week-long celebration in 1978, woohoo, the year I was born, in Sonoma, California. It was organized by a local school district to recognize women's contribution to history, culture, and society. And the idea gained traction. And in 1980, President Jimmy Carter proclaimed the first National Women's History Week. And by 1987, after advocacy by the National Women's History Project, Congress designated March as Women's History Month. So, Jess, let's talk about women who inspire us. Who
Yes.
is first on your list? I know this was hard for us because there are so many
Mhm.
women who inspire us. And I think we really tried to think about women who are alive today for the most part and
Yeah.
really have made a difference.
Mhm. Yeah.
Uh, Talk to me about one of the women that inspire you.
So I love Tara Brach. She is a renowned meditation teacher, psychologist, and author. She's known for her work in blending Western psychology with Eastern spiritual practices, particularly mindfulness and compassion. She's widely recognized for popularizing the concept of radical acceptance, which is a powerful approach that encourages embracing ourselves and our experiences with kindness and clarity. I talk about it all the time in Superwoman Diaries. I regularly listen to her podcast, which is called Tara Brach. And our March book club is going to be her book that was first written and published in 2003, which is called Radical Acceptance. I love the way that she is talking about love, compassion, kindness. She really also specializes in helping us heal from trauma. Her background is really fascinating to me, and she does share a little bit about that in her podcast, but she earned her doctorate degree in clinical psychology and has been practicing meditation since the 70s. She was drawn to meditation and Buddhist teachings after experiencing her own struggles with anxiety and self judgment. And over time, she found that integrating mindfulness and compassion helped her heal and develop a deeper sense of self acceptance. Just because I also come from a cognitive behavioral background as a therapist, I love how she talks a lot about how our thoughts create our reality. So if we are constantly having negative self talk, then our reality is going to be negative. And just you and I talk a lot of times about well worn paths of our brains and also how we can talk to ourselves as like our own friend and our own best friend. So I feel like that what we talk about really aligns with her teachings and values and her mission since in 1998 she founded the Insight Meditation Community of Washington and is one of the largest and most active meditation centers in the US. If you Google that or look that up, they have all kinds of online meditations you can
Yes.
drop into. And what I think is and classes. And what I think is awesome is all of her stuff is donation. So it's really accessible to everyone. And her mission is to help people awaken their hearts and cultivate self compassion, healing, and freedom from suffering. I think right now, there is a building and budding culture of hate in our country and in our larger world. And so tapping into someone like that who's talking about love, compassion, kindness can really help us during this time. And her teachings guide us toward inner peace and breaking cycles of self criticism and emotional pain.
I love her podcast, which our meditations are incredible. They're different lengths of time. And especially for the year of 2025 so far, and a lot of the changes in politics, she actually has some very honed in meditations, even on that, just
Hmm.
uncertainty in the world and general feeling, and really trying to bring us all together, having this sort of knowing that we have this common feeling, but we are all connected as beings. And I really love all of her meditations. Her voice, too,
Yeah, it's so
right, is
calming
so
and
calming.
soothing.
Yeah.
And she has great jokes. She always has really good jokes, and I think it's really accessible. It's not like this high level, "Oh, I've gotta be this super zen perfect person to listen to her."
Yeah,
I think she's really accessible.
totally.
We had in season 1 an episode on self-compassion, and I know you were the one that introduced me to Tara Brach and also the RAIN method, and so she said she's writing a book on RAIN, which I love, but she has the RAIN method, which is helping you work through trauma, and suffering through mindfulness and self-compassion, and RAIN stands for when you're having strong emotions, recognize, allow, investigate, and nurture, and so really creating space for ourselves to be vulnerable, be sad, be frustrated, whatever it is. And again, I just love that her mission is to help people live with more compassion, clarity, and connection. And she believes that true freedom comes when we stop waging war against ourselves and instead treat ourselves with the same kindness we offer for others, which I love so much. And so, a few of her books, if you're interested, so we talked about her podcast, but her book, Radical Acceptance, which if you want to grab a copy and read before our book club episode drops on March 27th. Her other book, True Refuge, Finding Peace and Freedom in Your Own Awakened Heart, and Trusting the Gold, Uncovering Your Natural Goodness. So I just love her so much and she really inspires me. How about for you?
I agree. Somebody that came to mind to me and as somebody who I'm very much inspired by is Michelle Obama. So as you know, she's a
Yes.
former first lady, and she really made history as being the first Black first lady. And she used her platform to advocate for health, education, and equal opportunity, particularly when it comes to women. I think she really embodies, I think to your point, even about Tara Brach, is there's this down to earth feeling of her as well that you really identify and feel like
Mhm.
her. She embodies intelligence, resilience, and grace under pressure. She grew up in working class Chicago. She went to high school here in Chicago at Whitney Young. And then she went on her way to get a law degree. She went to Princeton and Harvard. And I think she was, to me, she's part of our generation where she's like the first lady who really was able to balance being a working mom, being a career woman and a working and a mom.
Mhm.
And while she was first lady, she focused on nutrition. She really did a lot, I think, in that role. But right now, she's written a lot of books about herself. And I feel like she's really embodied being authentic
Yeah, her book
and
Becoming is an incredible book if you
loved
haven't
it.
read. I
I
love it so
absolutely
much.
loved it. It's just really cool. It's a cool book too because you hear about her story and how she came into her own, which I think is very inspirational for many of us. We live our lives becoming this person, and so I really liked the story that she shared, and even though some parts of it I identify with and some I don't, I just loved feeling inspired by the fact that life is messy and we just have
Yeah.
to figure out how to, like, navigate, and I think her
Yeah.
to me, that book was really about, like, how she navigated being first lady and how she had to
Mhm.
adjust to that, being in the limelight so much.
I also loved I think she gave women permission, like, when you talked about being a working mother and how we're trying to do it all and that you have to really take care of yourself and carve out time for yourself without guilt or you will burn out. I loved that.
Yes. Becoming is her memoir. It was amazing. The other book that I really love that she wrote is called The Light We Carry, and it was about navigating uncertainty with wisdom and hope, and I really feel like that's even right now, it's a great book to think about in these uncertain times.
Mhm.
And all in all, what I think she teaches is the idea of rising above adversity. She has that with dignity. She has that famous quote that I absolutely love, which is when they go low, we go high. And it was
I say it
really
all the
about
time.
just, yeah, like it's really about like when you're faced with a lot of adversity, always have your dignity, keep your head up, keep pushing forward and really about embracing our authentic selves, which is so important to us. And the other thing I absolutely love about her kind of like mission is really lifting up others as we climb. And I think that's so important for us as women. She's resilient. She certainly has gone through her own journey of self-discovery, which is I think where the book Becoming is and just how she's been able to impact our world. Also, fun fact, something I do have in common with her, and I don't know what your all-time favorite book is, but my all-time favorite book is the same as Michelle's, which is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen.
Mhm. That's your favorite book?
Yes.
Mm,
What's your
I
favorite
I
book?
like that book. I don't know. I love
Really?
Memoirs of a Geisha.
Ooh, that's a good one.
That was a really
It's
good one, and
definitely in my
also
top
We Were the
10.
Mulvaneys. I don't know, that's gonna be hard. I don't think I can pick now. I'm just gonna go on a rant about all the books I love. A tangent, whatever. Okay. I thought this was interesting. I wanted to talk about Libby Ward, who is known as Diary of an Honest Mom on Instagram. She is a Canadian digital creator, speaker, writer, and mental health advocate. She did not begin her platform until 2020, and she shares candid insights into the challenges of motherhood, mental health, and breaking generational cycles, aiming to validate and support mothers who feel overwhelmed or isolated. Her content is really authentic and relatable. She talks a lot about overwhelm, guilt, comparison, overstimulation, loss of identity, which I think a lot of mothers resonate with. And she also
Mhm.
talks a lot about because she's breaking cycles, she does not have a relationship with her family of origin, particularly her mother. And so what that's to parent with not having she has a great relationship with her mother-in-law, but not having, like, her mother to guide her because her mother is unhealthy in whatever capacity. So she openly shares her personal struggles, and her mission is to change the narrative around motherhood by encouraging self-compassion, honesty, and the prioritization of personal well-being. And I love how she emphasizes the importance of addressing mental health and, like I said,
Mhm.
breaking unhealthy patterns. And it's so funny how stuff that she talks about, people get really ruffles feathers because I think on social media, people wanna just show, "Oh, look, I have 7 children, and we live on a farm, and we raise chickens, and we make our own milk, and motherhood is wonderful," or, "Look at my beautiful, perfect house, and everything is wonderful." And she talks about how hard it is, and then people are like, "Then why are you a mother if you're talking negatively about motherhood?" Right? Because it's like, I really feel like for social media, at first, it was only allowing space for things that aren't real, if that makes sense, and really share, "This is really effing hard."
Yeah, I when I read the book Good Inside, which is a parenting book, it was one of the main messages that the writer emphasized was 2 things can be 2, like, opposing views can be true at the same time, which I absolutely love, and I think that is the epitome of parenting, where it's like you
Yeah.
love your kids, but
Yes.
are you're very unhappy with them or something, like, it's
Yes.
2 opposing views that
Yes.
coexist.
And I think she's carving out space for that to say,
Mhm.
you can love your children, but it can also be really hard. And
Yeah.
so I think that she's has built a community where mothers can feel seen, heard, and less alone in their journeys. And her work continues to inspire and empower women to embrace their authentic selves and also seek support because we deserve support. We cannot do this alone. We need community and experts sometimes too.
Yeah, and speaking of an expert, one of the other women that I wanna talk about today is Elizabeth Gilbert, who is the author of one of the best-selling kind of, like, self-discovery books, which is Eat, Pray, Love. I feel like
Yeah.
she was definitely a trailblazer in that, at least for, like, when I was aware that was, like, a thing.
Mhm.
And there was a movie, if you haven't seen it, with Julia Roberts, and really, it was about her going through her own midlife crisis. I think this was the first book that I read that was really talking about a woman in a midlife crisis, and
Yeah.
so it was interesting just her own journey and hearing her journey. I should read the book again. It's been a while since I've read it.
Yeah.
So she's written a couple other books. She is an advocate of living life boldly and unapologetically. She reminds me a lot of, like, Shonda Rhimes vibe in that way,
Mhm.
where, just, like, living the life that you want, and she walked away from a life that wasn't serving her, and she went on this journey of self-discovery, and the cool part about the book too is she goes to these it's like an iconic travel memoir as well, 'cause she
Right.
goes to all these beautiful places, and
Mhm.
she continues to inspire people, embracing their creativity, breaking free of fear, and following your own unique path. And that is so
Yes.
critical. I'm actually reading a book right now about anxiety, and it was really about those 3 things is how even we trigger or getting rid of anxiety or dealing with it is really the idea of breaking free of fears, using creativity, and try to figure out what is your own unique path because we all just think that society has a certain way that we all have to be, and there's no right way. And so I think Elizabeth Gilbert really embodied that. So again, she's
Yeah.
very focused on that creativity, inner transformation. She's got an excellent podcast as well.
And I think when you talk about Eat, Pray, Love, I think when I read that it was her first book, so now I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I haven't read her other books," but I agree with you. I think when we read that, I think that was like, "Whoa, a woman can break out of her programming and go do something else and look for passion and joy." I think we're
Yes.
starting to do that now, so she really, did that a long time ago.
Yeah, and so her first book to me was really about self-discovery and her
Mhm.
own path, and then Big Magic is about taking it to the next level, about unlocking creativity and overcoming fear, and it's really about, again, in terms of our own journeys and living our authentic self and being our authentic self, leaning into things that maybe feel uncomfortable, maybe aren't necessarily part of what everyone else is doing, and so that book, Big Magic, inspired also her podcast, which has a similar name, and then she also has a couple other books. One of them is City of Girls, which is a novel. I haven't read that. Have you read that? So
No.
it's a novel set in the '40s in New York about women in female independence. So that sounded interesting too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, what I thought was interesting for her, Jess, too, is you know what her favorite book is? One of her favorite books is The Year
The
of
Year of
Magical
Magical
Thinking, which
Thinking.
is
That's
cool.
interesting.
I'm
Yeah.
so glad we read that book, by the way, because
Yeah.
her name pops up so much now in my life that I'm aware of that I'm like, "Oh,
Yeah,
I
that
know
we're
Joan
like, "Oh, I
Didion."
know who Joan Didion, that's
Yeah.
right."
So Elizabeth teaches us to that reinvention is always possible, and I think that's so important for us and even a lot of our conversations here in March, talking with Shannon, who is our host of the podcast Second Act Success. So, Elizabeth reminds us to trust our inner voice, embrace creativity, live with curiosity rather than fear. And so, her life work really encourages us to embrace imperfection and enjoy the process of creating and discovering ourselves. So, I think she is really continuing to do a lot of the groundwork that really inspires us in the work we do at Chasing Brighter.
Yeah, I love that. I chose the Daily Skimm, okay? That is a popular daily newsletter, the Skimm, that was designed to give busy women a concise and digestible overview of the news. It's known for its conversational tone, millennial focused content. It covers current events, politics, business, lifestyle, and more. I feel like when I get an email of the Skimm, I feel like I'm on top of what's happening, right? Locally and globally. And the Skimm was founded in 2012 by Carly Zakin and Danielle Weisberg, two former NBC News producers. They were frustrated by the lack of accessible and engaging news for young professional women, and so they launched the Skimm from their New York City apartment. It was a simple little newsletter, and it quickly grew into a multi platform media company reaching millions of readers. And Carly and Danielle were named to Forbes 30 Under 30 and Fortune 40 Under 40 for their work in the media. And their mission at the Skimm is to make it easier for women to live smarter by giving them tools that they need to stay informed and make confident decisions. They focus on key areas like news, career, health, and finance. And again, with the goal of empowering women to engage more fully in the world around them. Another reason I chose the Skimm is I think that they are so amazing and incredible. And now they're using their platform for advocacy work. And in June 2022, following the overturning of Roe v. Wade, the Skimm partnered with the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services to promote reproductiverights.gov. And that was a government resource that provided accurate and up to date information on reproductive health services, birth control access, and abortion care in the U.S. And through this partnership, the Skimm helped amplify vital information about reproductive rights to millions of women, ensuring that readers had access to facts. The Trump administration
They shut down the website.
they shut down the website reproductiverights.gov. And less than 48 hours later, the woman founded and led media company The Skimm purchased a matching URL, a matching website, reproductive rights, and they just said dot.gov.com. And they bought it and they are continuing to give women access to facts and education for their bodies and for their medical care. And so I think these women are awesome to admire because they talk again, like what we've been talking about, how authenticity matters. They both emphasize embracing who you truly are, that transformation is possible, whether through education or self exploration. They show that growth is a lifelong journey and that we have the power to create change, whether in your own life or in the world. These women prove that we have the power to shape our own destinies. And I just love that.
Yeah, absolutely. Jess, as we close, we just want to tell you guys that one of the women that inspires us so much that we didn't talk about is our mom. And
Yeah.
so stay tuned because we are going to have her on a future episode as we feature moms coming up in May. And we will at least give that little trailer of more
Teaser.
to
Yeah.
come. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for listening and share with us on social media at Chasing Brighter who inspires you. We'd love to hear from you.
Thanks for listening today. Don't forget to subscribe so you can hear our latest episodes as soon as they drop.
If you loved today's episode, share with a friend. Find us on Instagram, Facebook at Chasing Brighter, or check out our blog at chasingbrighter.com and follow us. If you want to know more about Kelly and I, read our blogs, find more tips, tools, and resources, check that out at chasingbrighter.com. Thanks. Remember, your best life is just a listen away.